What's going on, everybody? This your boy Josh hosting, coming to you live from Retcon Comics, here to break you off with the comic book stock market, where we provide the insight on the value and profitability on comic books that are trending. We always break it up into three parts, which is big bank, little bank, and prediction. Before we jump into it, wherever you are in the metaverse, multiverse, whatever verse, we want to thank you for tuning in. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Now, before we go into it, let's go ahead and get into our disclaimer. Nothing spoken here is a sure shot. Everything that is discussed is strictly opinionated and based off of personal observation and experience. Keeping that in mind, feel free to take what is being verbalized to help yourself make an informed decision on what to do, buy, or sell. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump it off. Alrighty, so in the vein of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, CBS Big Bank is putting a spotlight on the character starring in the aforementioned movie, starting with the Scarlet Spider. Created by Miles Warren, aka the Jackal, and originally making his debut in Amazing Spider-Man 149, Peter Parker's clone was originally used as a pawn to fight the original Spider-Man, with both of them believing that they were the genuine article. The two, however, eventually teamed up against the Jackal to save Peter Parker's colleague, Ned Leeds, and Gwen Stacy's clone. Though in the process, Warren and Spider-Man's clone appeared to have been killed in an explosion along the way. Later on, it was revealed that Spider-Man's clone survived and realized he wasn't the real Peter Parker, but rather than attempt to replace Parker, he left New York to embark on a nomadic life, dubbing himself Ben Reilly as a nod to his original self's Uncle Ben Parker and Aunt May Parker's maiden surname. 5 years later, after leaving New York City, Ben Reilly discovered May Parker suffered a stroke, one of which she may not recover from, and chose to return to the Big Apple, which led to a confrontation with the original Peter Parker. After the two handled a hostage situation at the mental hospital known as Ravencroft Institute, and no sooner did Ben decide to remain in the city for a while, that Eddie Brock, aka Venom, went on a rampage. Deciding to stop the Lethal Protector, Ben donned the red bodysuit along with a blue spider hoodie he bought at a museum, and armed himself with improved web shooters he developed, as well as sedative stingers, thus giving birth to the Scarlet Spider. Up until at least 2 years ago, Web of Spider-Man issue 118 was going for maybe $30 to $40 raw, not graded. But now you'd be fortunate enough to get it for at least $60 to $70. In some instances, sellers have put a price tag of a whopping $100 on that thing, depending on the condition. And that's why this book that contains the first appearance of the Scarlet Spider is CBSM's Big Bank. So the question is, do you sell or nah? That's gonna be a big fat nah. With the way Sony's Spider-Verse franchise is set up, meaning the way they are constantly spitting out movies centered on Spider-Man's cast of characters, such as Venom, Morbius, Kraven, and so on and so forth, there's no telling if they may want to be a bit more bolder and just go the clone route. And if they do, this book will surely skyrocket in value even more. I say if you can hold off on selling, hold off. Keeping the Spider-Verse train going with Little Bank, it's now time to shine the light on the arachnid superheroine Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew. For those not familiar with her, Jessica Drew is a superhero whose powers came to be when she was in her mother's womb that was purposefully hit by a laser beam containing the DNA traits of several different species of spiders. With both her parents working for Hydra at the time, it should come to no surprise that Jessica wound up being recruited by Hydra when she was older, and then she was set loose on Nick Fury. Eventually, she quit Hydra and became a good guy, fighting a good fight. Though it wasn't until she was added to Brian Michael Bendis' New Avengers that Jessica Drew started to gain a bit of popularity among the comic book community. Thanks to Jessica Drew being portrayed in Across the Spider-Verse, to which the said hero would be voiced by the talented Issa Rae, Marvel Spotlight issue 32 had originally seen a significant surge in value. At one point, the book was as high as $125. But now that it's been revealed that the Spider-Woman in the Spider-Verse movie differs from their 616 variant, the value in the book, depending on the condition, has dropped down to $60. That is why this book is CBSM's Little Bank. So sell or nah? Go ahead and sell that thing, big dog. Listen, history tells us that when characters in the movies or TV shows have more distinctions than their comic counterparts, value in their books tend to lessen after time. If you don't believe me, take a look at Marvel's Illuminati. Best bet with this book, if you have it, is to strike while the iron's hot. And now for the finale of the comic book stock market, which is prediction. And that's going to put the light on Superior Spider-Man issue 33, which is the first appearance of the Inheritors, Verna, Deimos, Brix, and Bora. Now, of course, to all the webheads out there, the Inheritors should be a familiar name, seeing as how this group of vampiric totem-eating baddies were the main antagonists of the very first Spider-Verse story arc. Now, although Marlon himself is an inheritor who first appeared in Amazing Spidey issue 30, volume 2, his kinfolk, however, didn't stroll up on the scene until Superior Spider-Man issue 33. It will make absolute perfect sense for these evil, spider-grubbing evildoers to pop up on Sony's radar and wind up in part 2 of Across the Spider-Verse, if not a Spider-Man spinoff altogether, which is why this book right here is my prediction for this segment. Currently, you can get this book for a good $10 to $15 raw. Wouldn't hurt to add it to your collection now as opposed to later on, should the Inheritors end up with a live action debut. And that's going to wrap it up here at Retcon Comics, everybody. Thank you for joining Comic Book Stock Market. And in the words of Skeletor, until we meet again, stay safe and be blessed.